Your mother's in here, Karis. Would you like to leave a message? I'll see that she gets it.
This is the Horrible Film School. Take a seat and slowly rip open your Trapper Keepers. I am Chris Purdy, and I'm here with Reeling Ryan Hootie.
What's up, fellas? Excited to go to church today.
Take me to church.
I'll sit right in front of the other side of a knife.
That whole song sounds like an orgasm, now that I think about it.
I don't know the fucking words. Sick of my heart.
Also here with Captain Howdy 2.0, Mr. Nasty, a.k.a. my big brother, Joey.
Now this is the real shit. Attention, all young players and peeps. Right now is the place to be. We didn't get 2 minutes into this thing, and we started talking about Scary Movie already.
Scary fucking movie. Thank you, James.
Fuck me! Father.
That's not part of the ritual.
I came as fast as I could, but in my age, sometimes it's hard to get the little soldier pumping without a lot of thumping, you know.
Fellas, we're professionals. Keep it together.
Professionals. This is Halloween night. Spoiler alert. This is not a live recording in your ear holes. We made this bad boy on October the 31st. So this is a haunted time for a haunted movie.
Monster Mash.
I am on a sugar high right now.
I do like the Monster Mash. That's like my favorite Halloween song for some reason.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Is that the only Halloween song?
I mean, there's like Thriller. People play Ghostbusters all the fucking time.
Psycho Killer, that's like a good Halloween song, but it's not like a Halloween
The Talking Heads?
Psycho Killer, yeah, that's a good song.
Oh, it's a great song.
Disturbia, Rihanna, that's a good one.
I don't think that's a Halloween song.
Yeah, it puts me in the mind of Halloween. It feels like something they played at like a Halloween dance or some shit. I could get jiggy with this shit.
Next Halloween, let's do an episode where Joy just gives the audience a mixtape of Halloween soundtracks.
It's just me singing it, though. It's all copyrighted.
We can't play any of this music. Joy's going to have every lyric.
It's like a darkness in the night, Disturbia.
You got to Take Me to Church. You got to do that one.
Red Right Hand.
I learned the fucking lyrics first.
All right, before we hop into it, I had a few plugs here. Wanted to shout out the merch store yet again. We got some new designs up there. You can slap them on T-shirts, mugs, all kinds of cool shit. Give that a check. Find it at horriblefilmschool.com. I think the link is like a little picture of a globe or something. Also gives you a link to the Instagram where we are promoting and conversing with our fans and family. So give us a shout on there if you want to get to us quickly. So this is Halloween night. I give you a trivia for you boys about what is considered the scariest movie of all time to a lot of people. The one we're going to be talking about today, 1973's The Exorcist. How many people associated with this movie died during production?
This is a loaded question. I can already tell by the way you phrased it.
I feel like this is like an urban legend question.
This is like the whole Wizard of Oz thing. There's like, you know how many people died to make this fucking thing?
Yeah, I feel like this is like a marketing thing. I'll say 34 people.
God almighty.
No, that's not a real guess. That's not a real guess.
Joey's counting everybody.
I'm going to say like 6. That still sounds like a stupid fucking high number.
What you got? Who are you thinking?
I don't know. I watched the documentary of making this film, and I didn't keep like a checklist of body count, but they did talk about it a lot. I'm going to go 4.
Both solid guesses. There were 9 people associated with this that passed away.
Bullshit.
Including an actor who played Burke Dennings, Jack
Oh, yeah,
McGowan.
I knew that one for sure.
Linda Blair's grandmother, a night
watchman.
watchman.
In the movie?
Who the fuck was she in the fucking movie?
Associated,
man.
We're talking about people's moms.
Come on, man. You can't say my 4th cousin on my mama's side died and it counts.
I mean, the movie takes a few months to film, and if you're making this as Linda Blair and your grandma dies, it's like
some fucking days to film.
This is like the worst time for grandma to die, is when your granddaughter's going through this process, you know? There's also a night watchman that was on set that died, and a special effects expert.
Well, a big part of this movie's history is a lot of people talking about like how much of a disaster it was to make.
Haunted. You hear that word thrown around a lot.
When I think of Night Watchman, I think of like big John Candy, Chris Farley type dudes who probably have bad hearts. So another one that could have just been happenstance.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just like stumbled across like a Pazuzu extra and his fucking heart just gave out.
There you go.
Say Night Watchman to me, I think of Jake Gyllenhaal.
I think that was Nightcrawler.
Oh, Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, that was a good movie. I forgot about that movie.
That's a horror, isn't it?
Maybe more thriller. No.
I would say
that's
thriller.
another 7 type deal, huh?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think I've probably mentioned it before, but the way I differentiate is in a thriller, you're pursuing the bad guy. In horror, you're running from the bad guy.
I was reading some argument that that the movie No Country for Old Men could be considered a horror movie.
It's definitely nihilistic. The ending of that movie is like terribly heartbreaking.
Oh, it's so fucking good, man.
It's like, this is all just a waste of time. Just go ahead and kill each other. It doesn't really make a difference.
What's that dude's name? Javier Bardem?
Javier Bardem. That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Like how you said, what's that guy's name, and said it perfectly.
Well, I'm thinking here, I want to do Mother one day.
Mother. You got to throw an exclamation mark at the end. All right, as we said, today's assignment, 1973's The Exorcist, many considered to be the GOAT of our genre that we're dissecting here. The lesson can only be one lesson here. The power of Christ compels you.
You didn't even fucking try.
Because you have to say it 8 times.
That makes
That's
me
the first
so
one.
sad.
Wait, you didn't let me finish the bit. I had to do it 4 times.
There's no way you're going to say it 8 times.
No, you're going to say it for the next 4.
Oh.
We're all going to have more gravitas each time.
Do we feel like we're jumping the shark?
Wait, Joy,
That's when-
you didn't
by
hear what I
doing The
said.
Exorcist?
The power of Christ compels you.
It's the power of Christ that compels you. And then it gets dirtier after that, boy.
It's dank.
But yeah, do we feel like we're jumping the shark doing this
Covering this movie?
this soon? We're only like, 70 episodes in?
So this
You
should be like
picked
the penultimate episode. Wait a second. This is all going to be like a lost episode one day that people are going to be looking back on.
Oh, shit. This would be the penultimate. This would be the second to last. Then the last episode would be Congo.
Oh,
And that's
of course.
it.
That'll
Then
be
you run off into that fucking glorious sunset.
I do deuces like in fucking Breakfast Club. And the don't you forget about me plays in the background.
I feel like if we make it to like episode 200, that is a Congo episode.
The Congo. Every 100 episodes, it was a Congo episode. How about that? 100, 200, 3. Yeah, we'll do that ad nauseum forever.
Let's say we have a Ben Kissel situation. Who gets replaced?
boy.
Who gets
Oh,
replaced
boy.
by who?
Teasing.
We're going to take odds on who's who.
All right, let's say I get replaced. Who do you replace me with?
Ben Kissel.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, he's a free agent.
See what
Dude.
he's doing?
Shoot that
See what
motherfucker
he's doing?
contract.
What's he doing, man? He still entertains me. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in his personal life, but
Get better soon, bud. We all miss you already.
so without further ado, this was your choice, Mr. Joseph. I'm going to hand you these very thick, very sturdy reins on this very big horse.
Girthy boys. Wait, what?
Big
Pause.
a handful on this one.
All right, let's crack this thing. Let's crack this 6-pack, 12-pack open the way we always do. A couple of reviews from the good old IMDb.
I got to hear a negative review of this.
Yeah,
Just out of
we'll get there.
curiosity.
I want to start with the positive because negative reviews are very, they're very dry. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of Bible thumping. Is that what it come down to in your research?
Some. It's a lot of them.
I
A
can
lot
see
of them,
that.
it's going to be younger people reviewing the movie after it's been super hyped up to them and
Right,
not living up
I
to
can see that.
expectation. But
Those damn YouTubers.
yeah, for sure. Truly the greatest horror flick of all time by Ray393. This review was submitted on the 30th of October 2005. I'll keep this brief. It is my opinion that The Exorcist is the greatest horror movie of all time, bar none, taking into account the year in which it was released and the social response at that time. Nowadays, the shock factor is gone. Our senses have been dulled by the constant flow of lame so-called horror films, that promised so much but failed to deliver. When you consider that this little movie emerged from relative obscurity in 1973, at a time when people were a lot more fearful of religion than they are now, when you look at the horrific imagery and blasphemous dialogue that was hurled at the unsuspecting cinema audiences, it is little wonder that some of their stomach contents made an even earlier exit than they did. 10 out of 10.
He hit it with the hi-hat at the end right there. Badach.
That, and he touches on exactly what is a lot of complaints with the movie in terms of like your modern audiences. Like the whole religion back then was kind of untouchable, right? In terms of like cinema.
Yeah, this is like pre all the stuff that happened in like the late 90s with the Catholic Church. Definitely probably changed a lot of, especially young people's perspective of how holy those people are, you know.
And this was after Rosemary's Baby, but before The Omen.
So in contrast, from I Clefane in April of 2006, less than a year later.
06, huh?
The devil does exist because he made this terrible movie.
Wow.
This film is crap. We just don't like it. It is so bad. We would go as far as to say that we would rather get possessed than watch this abysmal train wreck of a movie ever again. The worst part is that everyone loves it. Why? It's about as scary as Menon. Like Nan, I guess my mom or a grandma. As exciting as a chess marathon with politicians. And it's painful to watch, not in a scary way, as having a root canal without the anesthesia. Again.
Oh.
It doesn't even look real.
Personal trauma.
I mean, who pukes green pea soup? Not even the devil can pull that one off. If you have not
knows
watched
what the devil's capable of.
Yeah. If you have not watched this film and need to sleep by any means, put it on. If you want an exhilarating, frightening film, watch something else. Anything else, but not Hostel. 1 out of 10.
The hell? He had to shit on the Hostel on his way out the door.
Fucking Hostel and The Exorcist all in the same review.
Book Eli Roth while we're at it.
But yeah, the whole Nan situation, N-A-N, I think that's like a English way of saying grandma.
Yeah, like Nan, old Nan. You remember her from Game of Thrones?
Damn, I should have read the whole thing as a
in a British accent.
Version.
Missed opportunity.
This film is crap. No, it's not good. That's fucking terrible, actually.
Glad that we skipped that.
This film is crap. No, that's fat bastard.
To defend the Brit, there are points of this film that are very slow. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I'm just saying there are parts that are very slow.
Not to shit on what you said, but I feel like that was by design.
It's definitely a product of a filmmaker, someone who made The French Connection just before this, you know.
Yeah, I hope you got something to say about The French Connection, because I've never seen it, but apparently it's considered like a really, really good movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal.
As the cinephile of the group, I hope you can elaborate when we talk about it. And let's use that as a segue into talking about William Friedkin, director of the film.
Before we leave that review, this person used the term "we" a lot. Did Pazuzu write that fucking review?
Oh, fuck me.
Was that a possessed hand?
No, I'm
on the
thinking
keyboard?
it's somebody who was like who was not.
They said "we" like 3 times, Joy.
I think it was a fucking somebody
Don't bring that
Eli
evil on
Roth
us.
bullied in school. So he had to like throw that fucking uppercut right there at the end.
He hadn't even met the Bear Jew yet. He didn't know how badass Eli Roth could be.
Well, to that reviewer, the power of Christ compels you.
But yeah, William Friedkin, director of The French Connection.
Billy.
Actually, as a note about The French Connection, I actually put, instead of the year 72, won 72 Oscars.
Jesus. Fucking swept it 3 years in a row.
Oh, shit. The French Connection won the 72 Oscar for Best Director. Movie stars Gene Hackman and Roy Schneider, a.k.a. guy from Jaws.
Yeah, he's the man.
So, yeah, French Connection apparently is it good, Chris?
Yeah, it's considered kind of like one of the first of the new wave, early 70s crime cinema. Like Tarantino, everything you've seen since then is kind of borrowing on like the pacing and the way those characters are presented. Popeye Doyle, that's the character Gene Hackman plays, is like considered like the holy grail of like the badass punch you in the face detective guy. So and Roy Scheider is just fucking awesome and everything.
Make sure you keep my Popeye imitation in there too when you said Popeye.
Of course.
From another point of view from that same movie I watched a few years ago because I'm a big Gene Hackman fan. It's a great movie, but the character Popeye is a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely like a product of early 70s, like big, tough, macho white guy culture. Doesn't age very well.
He literally meets a black guy in a bar and it's like, I know what your kind do. And I was like, what are we watching?
It's the early 70s, man. He's like a cop and a douchebag, but he gets the job done. He's one of those road cops.
What's your favorite Gene Hackman movie?
He's going to say The Replacements. I just know he is.
I mean, it's that or Crimson Tide.
He is good in Crimson Tide. He's an asshole in all those movies.
He is. Well, not in The Replacements.
Yeah, at that point he was like retired, basically.
What's the one with Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio? No, it's a Western.
Oh, The Quick and the Dead. That's Sam Raimi from the mid-90s. Yeah,
he's fucking dope.
Damn, I haven't seen that in forever. I probably haven't seen that off cable.
Sharon Stone, proper titties.
Yeah, some woman's in that too.
I don't know about popping out no titties, but I think she's like the main character.
I thought Joy might like that
when she does that leg sweep.
I have seen that a few times.
Oh, but yeah, dude also directed Bug. That's more my fucking speed, baby. Ashley Judd, Michael Shannon. Also directed Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey and my man crush Emil Hirsch. But unfortunately, William did pass back in August 7th of this year.
Yeah, recently. I mean, once he did pass, I kind of did like because he's considered like one of the great American directors. I looked at his like top 10, filled in some blind spots. Watched a movie called Sorcerer, badass 70s movie with Roy Scheider as well. So rest in peace, Billy. Definitely a talented man.
He made some movie with Willem Dafoe.
To Live and Die in L.A. was also really fucking good.
It's like super underrated, apparently.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe is like, I don't know, it's really weird to say it, but he's really sexy in that movie.
Oh, God, that is weird to say.
If I can stop making myself watch like drama shit on YouTube, I would have time to watch this kind of stuff, but I can't stop it.
You two have skipped over a just gold star in this man's filmography.
Is it something he would be proud of, though, Hootie? That's the real question.
Well, I mean, he's dead, so he really has no.
Oh, Mud, do not say he's dead. It don't matter what he thinks. Is that what you're going to say?
I said he has no say. He has no say in the matter because he is dead. He's deceased. R.I.P.
So you can determine how he feels now.
He did direct Blue Chips, starring Shaquille O'Neal and Nick Nolte.
What the fuck is that?
1994. Yeah, he basketball recruiter movie. I'm a fan of, was it Air Up There with Kevin Bacon? You remember that one?
I have no recollection of that.
It was the exact same time, but Kevin Bacon went to Africa to recruit basketball players.
I gotta see this.
Same like mid-90s type of vibe. I just happened to see that one first, so that's the one I always think about.
Let's give a shout out to Dick Smith, guy who's he's a makeup vet, and also the rest of the makeup and special effects crew. Wonderful job with this movie, man. Really taking an innocent-looking girl and turning her into the stuff of nightmares. So
it's all practical. It's wild.
Yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah, you're not even mentioning the Max von Sydow age up stuff. It's fucking insane. I always thought he was an old man until relatively
seeing how he ain't in
recently.
the fucking movie yet. We haven't talked about it, have we?
How about that shit, Chris?
How about
that? About the makeup work.
DDT. This
talk about jumping the shark.
The aging makeup is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was great. It's so wild. You know what's wild about it is the motherfucker looked like that as he got older.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same.
Very accurate interpretation.
It's a very accurate. Like, they aged him very, very accurately.
They had like a police sketch artist. Like, what is this motherfucker gonna look like in 50 years? Draw us a picture.
So, I didn't know that they aged him, and I started watching the film. I was like, damn, this guy has looked the exact same for 40 fucking years.
I just saw this guy in the fucking movie 2 years ago. He looks exactly like this.
The last crew member I wanted to give a shout out to. All of them deserve it. But William Peter Blatty, the guy who actually wrote the novel the movie's based off of, as well as the screenplay for the movie, back in 1971. I've been trying to buy an old copy of the book off eBay, but holy shit, it is so fucking expensive.
Really? I had a copy I got from Ed McKay's, not an OG, not like a 71 print, but I had one from the 70s I got from Ed McKay's for like $15.
Well, damn, that sounds like a score to me, brother.
Just get a reprint.
Good read.
No, I want the old shit, man.
He wants to smell the person.
Ever since I started buying Mondos, I just I want old stuff.
I will buy a reprinted vinyl in a heartbeat. While on his first directing assignment for the Alfred Hitchcock Hour in 1962, he was reprimanded by Sir Alfred Hitchcock for not wearing a tie.
He was being a real cock that day, wasn't he?
Like the thing he said about Spielberg after Jaws had come out. People asked him what he thought about the movie. He said, "Oh, you mean the one where the boy made the little fish movie?" That's how he referred to Jaws. I always thought that was cute, quaint.
Wow, he sounds like an asshole.
He was the damn king of cinema at that point, man. He'd been doing it for 60 years, better than anybody.
Shit, motherfucker was a king of cinnamon buns, as fat as his fucking ass was.
He was a chubby little fucker, but
king of cinema and cinema buns.
top 10 all-timer, man. Come on now. But yeah, just general notes about the movie. Nothing about any particular scenes, but some things I think they're kind of important to note here. This movie received 10 Oscar nominations, which is fucking insane for a horror movie, for any movie, honestly. I think the standing record is 12 at this point, so that's how close it is to the most nominated movie of all time, which is
it's fucking
nuts.
bananas.
And it was the first one nominated for Best Picture, of course, which you could kind of blame this movie for everything that came. I know a lot of people don't love the horror genre, but this kind of proved what can be done with what was considered taboo at the time. On that note, this was the highest grossing R-rated movie until 2017's It.
Of those nominations, it actually won for sound and writing. So it took home 2 of them, which was fantastic. It very possibly could have took home, or she could have took it home, Linda Blair. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Was she in supporting or was she in lead?
Supporting. Lead was Chris,
Ellen Burstyn nominated?
Was Ellen Burstyn. But apparently there was a controversy with that because she didn't do a lot of the dialogue. Was so pivotal in her being nominated.
In the documentary, the man who does the voice, it's a man, right?
It's a woman.
It's a combination of a few people.
It's Mercedes McCambridge. It's like
Depends on which voice you're referring to.
A radio actress is.
But one of the voices is referred to as a Mexican who didn't speak a lick of English in the documentary. That's from the documentary.
Was this the one speaking Latin?
Yeah, that was the director. It said, I was like, wow, you probably could have phrased that better, bud, but all right.
When adjusted for inflation, sits on Warner Brothers' mantle as their second highest grossing film of all time. Just recently dethroned by 2023's Barbie.
That's brutal.
I mean, not really. That right there is like, that was huge. I mean, it's huge. Obviously, I have no intention of seeing it. Don't ever want to see it. Barbie was like super influential in a lot of like young ladies' lives.
I'm a cinephile, as we all know, so I've watched it. I'm a fan of Greta Gerwig. It's fine. I
watched as well. It's I don't ever want to see it again. To Chris's point, it's fine.
Talking about the box office here, this was a budget of $12 million. And at the end of its original theatrical run, it had grossed $193 million. But as these things tend to do, this has been re-released. A lot of subsequent re-releases since the 70s. Has a lifetime gross of $441 million. It's I remember early 2000s is probably when I really got exposed to it. And that was when they had added a lot of extra scenes to it. Not really a director's cut, but like the spider walk was a big highlight. I think this was when the DVD was coming out. I got a big re-release then. And then recently, it just had its 50th anniversary. So it's still making money.
Didn't you two recently watch this in theaters?
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago we watched this for its 50th anniversary run.
It was the director's cut as well, so we got all the bonus stuff. They actually cut the spider walk out of the theatrical release.
We touched on at the beginning of this show, Scary Movie 2. The Exorcist has been made fun of so many times throughout 1973 to now. Some other call-outs besides Scary Movie 2 would be Key and Peele. Or is it Key and Peele or Key and Peele?
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele. Jesus, I'm thinking Key and Peele.
Key and Peele was that Nickelodeon show.
Key and Peele. This shit was on all that. I missed that fucking episode.
I do.
This was the Good Burger movie.
And SNL with host Richard Pryor playing the priest, which was phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I watched that skit. It was pretty good.
It's great. But furthermore, when originally released in the UK, several town councils imposed a complete ban on the film. This led to the creation of something that sounds incredible to me. Something called Exorcist bus trips, where travel companies organize buses to take groups to the nearest town where the film was being shown.
Just imagine back then, like, you're hanging out at the pub or whatever fucking bullshit they got over there. You having a plate of fish and chip, and you're the only one ain't seen Exorcist, you know? You're out of the fucking loop, brother.
It's true. And fish and chips are fantastic. And being the Catholic of the show, as I am, I figured I would look up exactly what an exorcist, what the definition of an exorcism actually is. And I was able to dig this up. Here we go. Since demonic possession, according to Roman Catholic teachings, is extremely rare and mental health issues are often mistaken for demonic possession, the Vatican requires that each diocese have a specially trained priest who is able to diagnose demonic possession and perform exorcism when necessary. That's today. Each diocese has a guy there, a priest. I shouldn't call him a guy, that's inappropriate. A priest there who can perform an exorcism. Because I've always found exorcisms to be goofy in the real world. I'm not calling this movie goofy. I'm just calling. I don't believe in it. I'm sorry.
Honestly, the behind the scenes of this movie, if you look at it, it probably has more behind the scenes information than any other fucking movie I've ever did research on. So
it's a lot.
I'm just gonna give like a rapid fire, like just fucking word vomit here. Nothing too in depth. You could make an entire another episode just talking about behind the scenes stuff. But so right now, this movie sits at 224th on the highest rated movies on IMDb. The studio originally wanted Marlon Brando to play the role of either Father Mirren or Father Karras. But director Friedkin, he fought back on this, stating that had he been cast, it would have been a Marlon Brando movie instead of a movie that's wanting to convey his, message. Been a much different movie with Marlon Brando in either one of those roles. Jack Nicholson,
especially in 1973, you're coming right off The Godfather.
Yeah. I think the fact that everybody in the movie is relatively unknown for the time, it gives it like a sense of realism.
Yeah.
Like these could just be anybody,
Yeah, and the fact that they talk about the movies a lot within the movie, and you can kind of, like they're talking about Paul Newman and other actors like that. There's like a distance there where it's
Marco Grouch, or what the fuck his name is.
That
Groucho
one cop
Marx,
loves Cinema Boy.
exactly. And if he's delivering those lines to like someone like a Marlon Brando, then that looks goofy,
Another role that was, or another actor who's considered for a role, Jack Nicholson, considered for the role of Karras. Could you imagine Jack Nicholson's nasty ass playing a priest?
That'd have been fucking awesome. It would have been so over the top. It's got to be a moment. I'm trying to think of a moment in there where Demi would just lose his shit.
Quit talking about my mom. Come on.
This guy's so restrained in this movie. I can't. It's hard to imagine Jack pulling it off.
At one point, Stanley Kubrick was considered to direct. Audrey Hepburn, first choice to play Chris McNeil. However, the only way she would accept it was under the condition that they film it in Rome. So.
What?
Yeah, she said.
She was living there at the time.
You got to
right?
film this shit at Rome to have me participate. So.
You come to me, motherfucker.
Yeah,
or maybe she just wanted a free vacation.
That did not come to pass, obviously. Also, the term cinematic neuroses became highly popular after this movie came out. Cinematic neuroses is whenever you hear people talking about passing out in theaters, vomiting in theaters, all that shit, having that kind of effect, it's considered cinematic neuroses. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's wild. It's Chuck Palahniuk. He wrote a short story, Guts, where people always talked about it kind of had that effect on people when he'd do readings in public.
Sucked his asshole out.
He'd do readings in public, and people would like get sick and faint and stuff like that. So definitely, it adds to the legend, you know.
Palahniuk has written so many books, but that's the one story that everybody brings up.
It's Guts.
Without any further ado, here we go into 1973's The Exorcist.
It's the power of Christ that compels you. The power of Christ. The power of Christ compels you. 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 The power of Christ compels you.
We begin our journey into madness in northern Iraq. A small army of laborers work hard to unearth an old and forgotten temple to an unknown deity. Overseen by an elderly Irish Catholic anthropologist, Father Mirren. In the waning days of his time in country, the ragged priest bids his farewells before paying one last visit to a well-guarded ancient ruin, filled with crumbling sculptures and wind-worn carvings. While combing over the remains of the shrine, the well-traveled man of God comes face to face with a winged statue bearing claw and fang, as well as a hard cock that looks like a serpent. A statue emanating pure malice and immeasurable evil, filling the priest with a sense of unease, dread, and inevitable doom.
So yeah, we already mentioned Max von Sydow, heavily made up in this movie, Game of Thrones guy, also in Flash Gordon, a really weird fucking movie. Maybe you should check out if you take an edible one Saturday night and need something to do. This dude's eyes, man, his eyes make this performance what it is. Those piercing blue eyes, man, it's just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, he's only 44 at the time this movie was filmed.
That's nuts, dude.
So they do a fantastic job of aging him through prosthetics.
I know the lady is considered like the critic for a lot of people, Pauline Kael. She hated this movie because she was just like
fucking
super
bitch.
contrarian. She was super contrarian, really smart lady. Probably considered the greatest movie critic of all time. But hated the movie, but said this was the most incredible age-up makeup she'd ever seen. She gave him that much credit, at least. So someone who hated it and was that intelligent about movies appreciated this too.
It's pretty impressive.
I'm going to go over his filmography for a second here, if you guys don't mind. Played opposite Sean Connery in 1983's Never Say Never Again as Ernest Stavro Blofeld. Did the voice of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. Part in Minority Report, Shutter Island, Rush Hour 3, as well as the Three-Eyed Raven from Game of Thrones. And unfortunately passed in 2020.
Oh.
Another one's gone.
Damn it, Max.
Did that also count towards your death count for the Exorcist, Chris?
Yeah, does it count 50 years later, Chris?
50 years later after the fucking movie came out, you jerks.
I'm just checking.
Everybody who's in this movie died.
Yeah, the Key Grip's dog, he fucking died, bro.
Everyone is going to die eventually. So. Have you ever seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Kind of love that movie.
Shit.
Highest body count ever in a horror movie.
You left out a little film called Judge Dredd.
Oh, God.
Oh, where was he in Judge Dredd?
Was that the one with Sylvester?
Oh, yes, where he takes the helmet off.
Not Dredd. Judge Dredd.
What about the one that came out not that long ago?
That's Dredd.
That's Dredd.
That's
that
the
movie
good
was
one.
good as fuck.
It was
It was
great.
really-
Carl Urban.
I also got the Game of Thrones. My girl Cersei was in there. Lena Headey. Great villain.
I choose violence. Every time I go to the toilet, I gotta take a shit.
You choose violence.
I choose violence.
We could do this sitting down or
I look at
standing
my
up.
toilet paper, and then right next to it, I got wet wipes, and I go with the toilet paper every time.
Never know what's going down.
George looks at his toilet like, let's get it on.
It's a battlefield. Gettysburg.
What about the Max von Sydow character in this sea of laboring locals, hammering away, back-breaking labor? And this dude is over here impersonating Alan Grant from Jurassic Park, brushing away little crumbs with a fucking a paintbrush.
He's a fly on the wall, man. He's just observing.
White privilege
much?
much?
See what happens.
Oh, the classic white privilege. The guy makes the natives do the work. Apparently, this was also a legit site in Iraq.
Like yeah.
They shot this in Iraq. How fucking insane is that?
They weren't allowed to film this with an American crew. I think they had to use a crew from England because there was like some bureaucracy or some shit to where the U.S. Crew wasn't allowed to like shoot it.
So not only was it filmed in Iraq, to y'all's point, but the site was a real site. Like they were fucking around and
they were excavating shit there.
They were excavating like a real site. I don't think it meant that much, but it's still fucking with something that's real.
And then Billy's like, can we just drop this Pazuzu into like these ancient ruins? And is that cool? I do love the shot too of they're like, you have Max and or Father Merrin, and you have the statue of Pazuzu. And,
hold on,
you
before
get like
Pazuzu.
The dust blowing across
It's just a statue.
Him. It's just a statue.
We can't say Pazuzu.
The statue, the cool-ass statue, and you have Father Merrin, and you have that one shot I always think about, where they look like they're only 2 feet apart, even though it's like 100 feet, with the dust blowing between them. It's awesome. It's good versus evil right there, man. It's right in your face.
Like I wanted to say the name Pazuzu this entire fucking review I wrote up, right?
Pazuzu.
They don't say Pazuzu the entire movie. That's actually introduced.
They don't say it.
It's in the novel, but it's not in the movie at all, and it's introduced in the second movie.
You sure it's not like subtitled here in the Iraq bits?
Not at all. Trust me,
wait. You watched a theatrical release.
Well, we watched the theatrical and we saw the other one.
This is one of those things where we all think we saw it, but we didn't.
I don't know. Maybe.
All I know is that statue had a flaccid penis.
Oh, I think it was
diamonds.
That was
rock hard dick
as fuck, dude.
It was just like, all right,
That's
you can't make a rock hard dick on a statue. Somebody will break it right off.
I just don't know why it had to have a penis at all. Was my main question.
No, he had one of them. What I like to call midnight penises.
I didn't notice the penis. I'll get that on record. 1/3 of the group did not.
I'm just that dedicated to my craft.
I was stuck in the moment of good and evil, and you guys are talking about the statue's dick. So,
well, I mean, it's right there. It's right there.
I mean, I'm a different audience than these two fucks.
If I met a naked Satan, I'd, hey, bud, please put your dick away while you talk to me. All right?
Stare at his penis during the whole conversation. Ryan, you're going to burn in eternal hell. Just staring right at that penis.
Across the Atlantic Ocean in Georgetown of the District of Columbia, beloved actress Chris McNeil continues work on the Warner Brothers film Crash Course, displaced from her home in L.A. along with her daughter Reagan and assistant Sharon. Meanwhile, 200 miles north, Georgetown University Jesuit psychiatrist Father Damien Karras visits his terminally ill yet self-reliant mother to find her in good spirits, albeit declining health, before returning to his post at St. Michael's. There, the Padre grabs a beer at a local bar with fellow priest and president of the university, Tom, imploring his friend to reassign him as his faith has begun to waver, finding himself unfit for service, but to no avail. Back at the McNeil's temporary residence, strange things are happening with no explanation. A scratching noise from the attic with seemingly no source, Reagan complaining of her bed shaking in her sleep, and a Ouija board moving on its own.
You're talking about Captain Howdy.
That right there is one of the most, in my opinion, most potent uses of subtext. Or it's the way, once that scene starts, we see they sit down to mess with the Ouija board, right? and she goes to place her hands on the planchette, Chris, in the situation, and the planchette moves by itself. And it moves in such a way where she couldn't really tell that it wasn't her daughter moving it. But it just lets you know, hey, it's this is subtle, but this is about to be going down.
He done got a hold of that bitch.
Ouija boards were such a thing for so long. I would like to know that, like, a deep
Oh,
dive.
before this
Like, do a
movie, they were like,
podcast.
it was a happy thing. It was just
Ouija
something you
boards.
would like take on a date, like you'd have fun with it. After this movie, it became like not frowned upon, but it became a source of evil and shit in people's eyes.
It's like Mattel or some shit, whoever made it.
It's fast. I think it's Hasbro, but yeah.
Hasbro's printing evil products at Kmart. Yeah, I do remember as a kid, like, older people in the family would tell me, like, can't play with the Ouija board by yourself because of this movie. Like, you don't ever do it by yourself because this is what will happen. And I always heard stories about, like, they have real ones made out of human skin, all kinds of random weird shit like that.
Chris swore me to secrecy as a child or as a kid, teenager, for us not to talk about this, but I'm gonna go ahead and air his dirty laundry out there. One night I come in there, and it was just like I'm watching The Exorcist all over again. He's got the planchette, and he's ramming it in his ass. And
Oh,
he keeps saying, fuck me,
possessed,
fuck me.
or-
And he's talking to like Chucky or some shit. It's so fucking
the
wild.
power of Christ compels me. The power of Christ compels me.
Is that you, Chucky? Whenever he wants to say yes, he just makes me shove it in my ass. Why doesn't he just go to the yes on the board? No. Not as effective. Joey likes to be affected by these scenes.
I would take the planchette and just rub it on my nipples. I had 2 planchettes. I don't know why I had 2 of them. I was double fisting the Ouija board planchettes.
Captain Howdy?
Seems like a Hanna-Barbera name.
Captain Howdy. Like as a cartoon she might have seen or something.
Yeah, that's how it came across.
She's such a cute kid, man. That's what makes the rest of the movie
She
like, really
is the
heartbreaking.
definition of wholesome.
It's the cutest kid. I'm like, this is just... Because you know what's going to come. Like, we didn't see this movie without any knowledge of what would happen because we grew up in a time where this was ubiquitous. You've probably seen her face, like her levitating, all the other crazy shit we've seen since before you ever saw what she looked like before all this stuff happened, you know?
You say that she's a cute kid, but her as a grown woman, she is still only 4'11".
Jeez, is she that tiny?
So
Was she-
she's still a little person. Or yeah, little person.
That is tiny.
But Ellen Burnt's and Linda Blair's like relationship as mother and daughter in the movie it's some of like the sweetest, most genuine, affectionate seeming like mother-daughter relationships I've ever seen in the movie. It's like it's so believable, you know.
Yeah. Ellen Burstyn, which I guess we didn't really shout her out, but Ellen Burstyn is fantastic in this movie.
Oh yeah, she's a force.
Requiem for a Dream.
That's
Interstellar.
literally the movie I know her from as
Yeah.
Sarah Goldfarb. But dude, she is that movie is so wild, man. I'm
She's
somebody
terrifying
now,
in that movie.
Harry. I just wanted to be on the show.
Yeah, fantastic.
I can't. This movie is haunting in the same way that movie is haunting too. You get what I'm saying? I have only seen Requiem for a Dream maybe 5 times my whole life. The same thing
Right.
with the
That's all you
Exorcist.
need.
Just because it's so heavy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you got Friday the 13th, you got Nightmare on Elm Street, you got Halloween. Those movies are like eating a cheeseburger, right?
Yeah. You can literally play them like as background noise.
Requiem for a Dream, The Exorcist, that shit is like cheesecake.
Yeah. You just don't have that on in the background while you're doing
Can't have
homework,
it can't have it every day.
It's like, oh, she's, yeah, I can hear old Reagan just fucking going ham. I'm just over here doing my homework.
Dude, my nipples
Nah.
are getting hard talking about the food.
You can't just do that.
I gotta,
This,
I gotta
which
cook
makes
these
the
things
earlier
up.
comment about putting this on so you can go to sleep that much more frustrating.
I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in the backyard smoking meat, making a barbecue, I just got Reagan on in the background.
Just, put a little bit of Tubular Bells on and just watch the crucifix scene a few times. You know what? Run that YouTube clip back. That's fun.
Ellen
Nah,
Burns was also Sister Summerall in the 2006 remake of The Wicker Man. Just want to throw that out there as
fuck.
well.
Well,
you gotta get Nick Cage in here too. And also Linda Blair.
Dude,
we kind
cameo and Scream.
Glossed over her
That's
too.
it?
Yeah, cameo and Scream. I have. I know she was in the sequel to this, which I refuse to speak about. I've never seen it myself.
Yeah, the direct sequel. I watched it after we went to the theaters and watched the 50th anniversary or whatever. That movie fucking sucks.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
short review.
Fucking awful, man.
She's horror
It's
royalty
so
though.
bad. Oh, I think here's the thing. She's bad in it too.
Well, how is she at that point? Is it 10 years later?
She at this point, I think she takes herself as like a serious actress.
Mm.
It just does not work. I don't know if it's the material they gave her or not, but it's not good.
she was in one episode of Supernatural that went for 20 years, so she's in one of those somewhere. And she's got a movie coming out this year named Landfill. So,
Also, Demi. I wrote him down as Demi. I don't really know the actor's name. I just love
Jason
seeing
Miller.
Demi. He's such a cool-looking dude, but he was in Rudy. I had that written down about him.
Yeah, the only reason he got cast in this movie is Friedrich went to a play and watched Jason Miller perform. It was a play he had written and starred in, and I guess he did such a good job. He just
nice.
cast him in this role.
we're just going to calm over the fact that this dude looks like a Sylvester Stallone stunt double.
Dude, he could probably beat Sylvester Stallone's ass.
I don't think so.
Nah, we see him
Not for a
box
second.
throughout the movie.
I've seen Sylvester Stallone box
you've
several
seen him.
times.
You see him fucking.
Was
you
it
see
Rocky
him get his
3
ass
when he has
kicked.
like 3% body fat? Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty jacked in that one.
He's all roided up.
But yeah, he definitely has that dark hair, Italian, good-looking
that New
man
York look. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. He screams sexy Catholic priest if you look at him.
Speaking of New York City, man, this has got to be one of the most depressing depictions of New York City I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, it is rough. As soon as he gets on that subway, it's like you're going into hell. Which, just reading on some of like Friedkin's theories, he's really big into blocking, obviously. I don't know how many times in this movie he'll show you staircases, and they're a big deal for the movie symbolically. Because every time someone's descending or ascending a staircase, usually they're going into hell or they're coming out of hell. Is how he sees it. And then Demi, when he goes to New York, he goes into the subway. It's the first thing he does. So you can just kind of see the way he's painting it as a decrepit section of New York.
The university president too was Thomas Birmingham. He's an actual priest, so that's a pretty cool. There's several characters in the movie that are actual priests. And
is this the one that was the closest to Demi?
No, that's Father Dyer.
That's an actor, right?
This is one of the guys that plays more of a background supporting role.
Okay.
During the scene where they have to confirm, hey, we're going to do the exorcism, he's one of the guys that confirms it. But there's also a desecration of a Virgin Mary statue that I didn't really go over. And it's done in a very artistic way. And he didn't really elaborate on this at all. However, during the Ouija board scene, Reagan is showing her mother some of her statues she made. And they are also very, very artistically colorful. Almost very similar to the ones used to desecrate the Virgin Mary statue.
So we're supposed to believe that Reagan went to the church and desecrated the statue?
I don't think it's far-fetched.
That's Joey's theory. Well, in the book, they touched on it more. I don't have enough of a recollection to tell you exactly if there's like an answer to the question. But in the movie, it's definitely like ambiguous. It never really comes up again. Other than when the police officer's asking questions and maybe a priest did it because they're pissed off at God and they're desecrating statues.
Yeah, it's black mass
yada,
and
yada.
witchcraft and all this shit.
Yeah, a lot of theories float around this movie. The book is a good read. It's definitely pretty faithfully adapted, but you just get more of the pacing, like the slow in-between stuff that Hoodie mentioned. That's definitely fleshed out more in the book.
Well, some of us don't have $15 to get the book.
Well, I'll let you borrow.
Now how do
I'll
you
let you
feel?
borrow 18.
Book boy.
The rats that she keeps referring to upstairs clearly have fucking diarrhea. What kind of noises were those rats making that she thought she heard?
That's the noise you trying to scratch and get some leverage when you're taking a fat shit.
Them rats were taking the biggest shits in her attic I've ever heard, if that was a rat up there.
It's like when he's fucking taking a shit in Scary Movie 2.
Yeah, she's like walking up the stairs and he's like, brr. She's like, clearly that's a rat. What are you feeding these fucking
Probably
things?
had that new fucking steak and bacon grilled cheese burrito at Taco Bell, bro.
Oh man, the grilled cheese burritos are banging.
Fuck. Ugh. They open late tonight, bro. Just saying. Soon after his visit, Father Karras' mother suffers a mental episode and is relocated to a psychiatric hospital. The priest hurries back to New York to be by her side, but is villainized by her, as she holds him responsible for being admitted and stripped of her independence. The true culprit, her brother, refuses to pay for private care, leaving the alien woman to die in the care of the mental health facility. It's going down back at Georgetown as the rat party ensues at the McNeils. Cast and crew, as well as faculty and friends, abound, with Reagan fast asleep upstairs. Director Burke gets a little too turned up and is sent home early while the party winds down for the few remaining members, who crowd around family friend Father Dyer and a grand piano, jovially singing in a group ensemble. In almost a trance-like state, Reagan appears behind the crowd and cryptically promises a partygoer who happens to be an astronaut that he'll die up there before pissing on the floor. Chris comes to her daughter's aid, rushing her upstairs and bathing her, tucking her in, assuring her that everything will be okay. Mere moments later, she hears screaming, and rushing back to her daughter's room, witnesses the bed shaking uncontrollably, Reagan screaming in terror atop of it. So did you guys catch that subtle thing about the astronaut?
That you're going to die up there?
Yeah.
Delivery? No, it's kind of weird because I've seen this movie probably 30 times, and until you just highlighted the fact that she was talking to an astronaut, I never put that together. I always assumed she was telling someone at the party that they were going to die upstairs with her.
Yes. See, for the longest time, I didn't really think about it too much because it's you're watching this scene. I think the pissing part stands out quite a bit more than the comment.
It's definitely the coda that you walk away
during
with.
the party. There's a conversation between Father Dyer and the astronaut where he's talking about being the first missionary in Mars, and they're just having a conversation about it. I did some research on what happened in the book. I think in the book she says this to him, and then in the next book he wrote, like part of the trilogy, because there's like 3 books in this trilogy. The next book, the astronaut is in there, and he actually gets nervous because of this and decides not to go. Like thinking back on what the little girl said. It's pretty cool how it all connects.
So why didn't they use the second book to make the second film and so on and so forth?
Well, I don't think it's like a direct sequel.
Oh. Okay.
Like I don't think it contains the same characters. Because what I assume...
It's like an anthology type setup?
I think. But that was actually made into a movie too. Between this movie and Legion. Legion is what becomes Exorcist 3.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you're talking about franchise fodder for The Exorcist, because for me growing up, this was always like, oh, this is the scariest movie ever. Watch this movie, don't watch this movie, you know.
Oh yeah, this movie was a one-off.
No one has ever mentioned anything about any of the rest of those movies to me, and I have never sought them out. This and Psycho have that same like designation for me.
Is there a Psycho 2?
There's like 4 of them.
Oh, damn.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Because they're so like of a piece that they're, I don't know, they're just so cemented as being a singular thing in my mind for some reason.
I will say Exorcist 3 is a legitimately good movie. But it's kind of shoehorned. Exorcist 3. But it's kind of shoehorned.
Yeah, I've always heard that as a good one.
Like, I don't think it was intended to actually be an Exorcist sequel. I think it was just kind of thrown in there.
Did you fellas pick up on the fact that the doctor prescribed young Reagan Ritalin?
Ritalin. It's like a scary word when he delivers it in this movie, too. It's like so commonplace now, you know.
Well, your boy took it from 1st grade until 9th grade when I was a child. So I question if I, myself, had a demon inside of me.
Did you get it out? That's the real question.
Doesn't that stuff make you like chew off your dick skin or something crazy?
Well, my dick's fine, to my knowledge.
Like it was it was uncircumcised to begin with, and you got you on Ritalin, and that's circumcised.
Did it look anything like the devil's dick?
I will say that.
Do you have snake skin cock?
I will say that Ritalin messes with a child's ability to have social skills. So just a little pro tip for any parents out there.
Yeah, it definitely has like a stigma of people are quick to medicate these kinds of things away.
Imagine his little ass
now,
walking on a bus. Motherfucker says, "Can't see it here."
I was like a zombie at all times.
Seats taken. Zombie, he was just watching Scooby-Doo and horror movies all the fucking time. Never blinking.
My only friend is Freddy Krueger.
Y'all seen that Scooby-Doo where Scooby meets the Globetrotters? I love that one.
That's the good shit.
Fuck you, nerd. So yeah, let's I think we've talked about it in other movies before, but the true horror in this movie is the fucking mental hospital. Although it's not the scariest places. The people, hey, if you listen to the podcast and you work at a mental asylum or mental health facility, whatever, you are a gold star
superhero,
person.
Man.
You deserve all the happiness in the world. That has got to be the saddest, most terror-inducing job I can think of.
Yeah, nursing of any kind, but in particular with the special needs type people who need this kind of attention is. I'm not made that way. I respect anybody who is.
It's the way that he shoots everything inside the hospital that makes it look super real, and it's extremely effective.
Yeah, I think that and for me, the medical bits, which we'll get to probably pretty soon, are the hardest parts of the fucking movie for me.
That is, it's hard to watch. But Father Dyer is actually played by William O'Malley. He's another guy that's an actual priest.
Father Dyer is?
Yeah, Father Dyer.
That's interesting. It's funny, I was reading a note about him. Apparently, Billy Friedkin had a bit of a reputation for being an asshole sometimes. If he wasn't getting what he wanted out of his actors, he would fire guns on set and shit just to get people spooked or get them into a scene. And apparently, he slapped this Mr. Dyer in the face between takes to get the right emotion out of him at one point. And people were really pissed off because he was an actual priest, and this director was smashing him in the face in between takes.
Yeah, this dude was wild, man. He actually shot a gun right next to Father Karras's head.
He's scared now, motherfucker. Okay. Take two.
The Mercedes, the woman that did the voice, or I guess partially did the voice for the demon character, we'll get to here in a little bit. They pulled a blood money on her and strapped her to a fucking chair.
Pulled it.
She heard LeBron was going to the fucking heat and she needed to get out.
Cut it. Cut me free.
Little did he know the heat's getting to him.
Who else in the bad
This
spot?
motherfucker's possessed, Joey. Go get the goddamn holy water. Before we go to the next part, let's circle back to Scary Movie 2. One of the funnier scenes in that movie occurs parallel to this movie. She comes downstairs and takes a big old fat piss in the floor, pisses for a good 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's long.
I watched it earlier today, and you can hear in the background, this dude says, "My God, who let the horse out?" Then that dude just smiles. She's good.
She's good. I remember that bit. And then the mom walks over with a newspaper and smacks her and rubs her face in the piss.
Rubs her face in like she's a fucking dog.
Bad girl. So bad.
Later that night, Father Dyer pays his friend Karras a visit, counseling him over the guilt of his absence and his mother's passing. Loaded up on whiskey and weighed down with shame, Karras falls asleep, his head filled with visions of his mother along with unsettling thoughts and subliminal images. Sometime later, tests are run on Reagan at a local hospital, but provide no clear indication of what's going on inside her, or what's causing her mood and personality to change so drastically. Things get worse as she has an attack back home, flailing and convulsing violently, striking the doctors attending her via house call. She's eventually sedated and subsequently tortured with more tests that turn up nothing abnormal whatsoever. That night, Chris arrives home to find her house abandoned, the power flickering on and off. Upstairs, her daughter lies asleep, her bedroom window thrown wide. Her assistant Sharon soon returns, informing the frantic Miss McNeil that she only stepped out long enough to grab Reagan's meds, leaving the girl in the care of family friend Director Burke. The pair are soon saddened with the news that Burke fell down some stairs adjacent to the house, breaking his neck and dying before hitting the street below. So I say some stairs. There's like 4 flights of stairs.
They gotta be like a popular tourist destination too.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
If I go to Georgetown, I'm gonna go there and take a picture. It's funny too, where you get the whole bit about his head was. I think we find out later, just via dialogue, that his head was pointing in the other direction. But like that's such an image in your mind that never occurs in the movie. It's only in dialogue, and it's just the power of a good movie, you know.
Just think that Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson walked by those same steps going to basketball practice.
Probably just handling the fucking rock, just stepping right over this guy.
Shit, Patrick Ewing only took him 4 steps to get up the whole thing.
But yeah, the medical bits are tough, dude. Yeah, like the noises coming out of the machine. I guess I don't know, they have to do EKGs or whatever they do in her brain. All the scans they do are just...
Yeah, when I said tortured in the actual reading, it's tortured.
And then watching her like strapped down and just the expressions on her face when she's
you
going
fucking bastard! And she spits in the fucking doctor's face, man.
Yeah, and her dialogue is in these scenes. Like her acting in these is legitimately good in these scenes. Of course, all the possession stuff is next level, but even here when she's still just a kid, like she's so in and out of it. She sells it really well.
The doctor's initial diagnosis is a disorder of the temporal lobe. So that requires what is called a cerebral angiography. Now, what that is...
throat tap thing?
Yeah, the fucking throat tap thing, right?
That was hard to watch.
That is like... Apparently, for a lot of people, myself included, this might be like the hardest to watch scene.
It's gross.
Just because it is so... It's so realistic and true to how that was actually performed. And the reason that they was able to get that so close is... One of the extras for the movie was a guy named Paul Bateson. Paul Bateson, that was his actual job, was to do that. He's the male nurse in the scene that's talking to Reagan and, comforting her and getting her set up. And we talk about creepy scenes or creepy things involved in the movie. This guy's actually an alleged serial killer.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, alleged. Let's be fair.
Well,
alleged.
no. He served 20 years in prison for the murder of a man named Addison Burrell in 1979. He was a film critic. So he murdered this guy. However, he is suspected or was suspected in the slaying of 6 additional men in the late 70s. He actually admitted to it apparently, but they couldn't nail him down. I guess. So I guess circumstantial evidence.
Yeah,
that's how they refer to that. But yeah, that's like the clean cut guy in that scene. That's another instance of this movie having just creepy undertones. Also, when she's in the X-ray machine after having the substance injected into her brain veins, I don't know what the fuck you call them. There's an X-ray machine that cuts on when it's dark. And you can see a cross on her forehead, which is supposed to be like the crosshairs, but it's like a cross. It's just definitely foreshadowing. It is, but it's such cool fucking imagery, man.
I had a note about some of the screenplay stuff here. Blatty, who wrote the book and the screenplay, he made her condition less ambiguous for the movie because in the novel, every symptom and behavior that she has that could indicate possession is counterbalanced with a reference to an actual case with the same phenomenon, or found to be natural scientific causes for each. So literally, in the book, whenever a new thing happens with Reagan, there's a real world case that he refers to if this same shit happened to this kid and there was a reason for it. As opposed to the movie where we don't get as much of that. Because in the book, it's really making you question which one of these is she really possessed or not. And here it kind of gives you the answer, I think.
All these tests they ran on her, man, couldn't they start with some Burt's Beeswax? Them goddamn lips was so ashy, boy. Looked like she was eating sand.
Felt bad. This girl needed some chapstick, for real. It gets worse.
She's dehydrated.
It gets worse. Nobody ever asked if she got to take a piss or did she need something to drink this whole movie.
Left with no other possible somatic reasoning for her condition, Reagan is seen by a psychiatrist who uses hypnotherapy to try and diagnose the perceived mental disorder. In a state of hypnosis, she attacks the doctor with a supernatural strength and fury, wrestled away before she can cause any permanent damage. Back at the university, Damien is getting a workout in before being questioned by local law dog Lieutenant Kinderman about possible foul play in the death of Burke Dennings involving witchcraft, where he informs the priest that the director's death may not have been an accident after all, that not only did he break his neck, but his head was turned completely around, facing backwards. Unlikely, but homicide no longer being out of the question. Back at the hospital, Miss McNeil meets with a panel of doctors who have no answers for Reagan's illness. Beyond stumped, the head doctor and his colleagues begrudgingly toss a Hail Mary and recommend that Chris seek out a Catholic priest, a priest capable of performing an exorcism. So how creepy is she in this scene while she's under hypnosis?
Yeah, I always like this scene because her arm is so perfectly still, like when she's doing the possession.
Just looking forward, lifeless eyes.
She got the stank breath. He grabs him by the nuts.
Boy, she get a handful, don't she?
She squeezed the hell out of him nuts.
She got the damn strength of 12 gorillas, goddamn!
Yeah, you were talking about the head turned around backwards being like such a cool fucking thing that you've never seen in a movie before. And I think the first time I'd seen it was in the movie Casper, if you recall correctly. At the beginning of that, they send in a fucking priest to get the ghosts out of there, and one guy walks out with his head turned around backwards. So it just shows you the kind of shit that this movie would spawn in its wake. And it's literally something that's never even shown in this movie. It's amazing.
Speaking of Casper, I watched that last week. I don't know why.
What were you on, ABC Family or some shit?
No, the
Freeverse or Freeview or whatever.
Freeform.
Freeform.
The missus wanted to watch it. I don't know why, but we did. And I forgot that Casper in his human form is the kid
Devin
from
Sawa.
Final
Devin
Destination.
Sawa.
Idle Hands, yeah, that's him. So you did see the guy with his head turned around backwards at the beginning.
Recently, yes.
There you fucking look at that, man. Hootie was in a little bit of a spooky movie marathon going in October.
Yeah, I want to watch a really scary movie, Ryan. Oh, yeah, you going to watch Nightmare on Elm Street? No, let's watch Casper.
I'm talking about Stretch, Slim, and Fatso. Let's go.
Then after that, can we watch Scooby-Doo 2, Zombie Island? Oh.
Yes. That's a good one. I think it was Monsters Unleashed or some shit, but I'm not sure.
One of those was actually good.
The Scooby-Doo Zombie Island's fantastic, but
yeah,
it was
one of them's
animated.
good. The other one didn't, but one of them's good. Lieutenant Kinderman, upon investigating the possible crime scene from which Burke fell and discovering a small, crude figurine at its bottom, spies Reagan's bedroom window perched high above the top of those same stairs and decides to pay the McNeils a visit. After questioning and relaying his theory of what could have happened that night to Chris, and spotting similar figurines to that which he found earlier, he departs, leaving the actress to think on what could have possibly happened herself, contemplating the worst. A crash upstairs breaks her concentration, and in her daughter's room, she finds the girl perched on her bed, covered in blood, as she stabs herself repeatedly in the pussy hole with a crucifix. Crucifix. That's the fucking weirdest way to fucking crucifix.
Well,
try to make it a little less disgusting.
With a crucifix.
With a wee little crucifix.
Attempting to wrestle the cross free, Reagan overpowers her mother before helping her earn her red wings and sending her crashing to the floor, her face covered in blood. Chris scrambles for the door, only for a chair to telekinetically bar the door. Miss McNeil looks on in horror as her daughter's head turns 180 degrees, and from her mouth comes a voice not her own. Do you know what she did, your cunting daughter?
I always had a question. This is a fantastic.
This shit took a fucking wild turn, didn't it?
Yeah, this is a big deal for horror movies in general. But
huge deal.
Before we get too much into the details of it, I always wondered, every time I've ever seen this, I always had the same question. How does this scene end? Because it cuts at that point. She's still trapped in the room with this fucking thing.
She finally lets her out.
Is it like...
like probably climaxes and falls asleep. That's what most of the time happens. Shit.
Let me slowly move this dresser out of the way.
In the documentary, Linda Blair goes over this scene and talks about how at her age in this film, she had no idea what masturbation was. And that the film crew, obviously mainly the director, had to kind of talk her through what she was supposed to do without telling her how to.
You gonna learn today, girl. You gonna learn today.
Just sounds super awkward on set.
Also, before we get too far away from him, shout out to the lieutenant, played by Lee J. Cobb.
Damn, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's
been
great.
in a bunch of shit, but it's like older stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was in 12 Angry Men, considered one of the greatest movies ever made.
He's won Oscars. Yeah, I think he won an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, he's got the old Hollywood royalty type career behind him at this point. So, shout out to that guy. He's got a great nose too.
It's in my notes several times that Lee J. Cobb is killing this fucking role.
This is actually the lead character in the third movie.
But it's not played by Lee J. Cobb.
No, God no.
Yeah.
I think he's recast as the guy who I always thought he was.
as a super reputable actor.
Yeah, is it damn, the dude from Doctor Strangelove?
See something.
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott.
They look just alike.
He is
always
so
thought,
fucking good.
I always thought he was George C. Scott when I watched this movie.
Why did George C. Scott sign on to Exorcist 3?
Exactly. It's fucking wild.
It's a really good story.
George C. Scott has a better career than Lee J. Cobb. He's considered a bigger actor. He's in Doctor Strangelove. He's been in a lot of bigger shit. And I always assumed they were the same person. And it's fucking wild that the recast was to him. But yeah, crucifix scene is fucking brutal. There's obviously a lot of information around this scene. It does happen in the book the same way. It's more prolonged and explicit. She actually really injures herself and attains an orgasm, which is...
See, I told the truth when I said she nutted. See, I wanted to say she was forced to munch on the pubis without being too grim and gross about it. So earning your red wings, that kind of tells you what the fuck's going on.
In the film's defense, and I'm not sure if this is even valid, one of the actors who was a real priest in real life is in the documentary. And he says that this film was necessary in order for it to be real, and that would be the limit to where the mother would seek a exorcism.
Oh, yeah. This is a pivotal scene. I think they didn't want it. I don't think the studio wanted it in there. And then William was pretty adamant about it because he felt like it was necessary for that turn that you're talking about there. The point of no return, basically, for Chris.
Yeah, this is the scene that shows you, hey, that she's possessed.
Yeah, after this, every time you hear the doctor say, your daughter's brain, she's like, are you motherfuckers? Did you see what the fuck I saw? Seeing is believing at that point.
Oh, yeah, in this scene as well, she actually, I think she fractures her coccyx. When she's knocked to the floor, she lands on her ass cheeks. And coccyx like your ass bone. She fractured it in the same way that Reagan, Linda Blair, they had her hooked to a rig when she was doing the thrashing and stuff, the violent head-bringing shit. And she fractured her lower back.
She was doing the Michael Myers just on repeat.
Shit, she wasn't doing the Michael Myers. She was doing the fucking Rob Zombie.
So apparently the director who y'all have mentioned, slapped actors, shot guns besides people's heads.
Threw a motherfucker down the stairs.
Threw him
down the stairs.
Told the special effects director, hey, I really want Reagan to just sling back and forth.
I really want to spin fucking Linda Blair's head around. Fucking spin that shit.
Can we do it?
Grab her by the neck. I fucking really get this shit.
Really wanted to sling her back and forth on that bed to make it seem like she was really possessed. And Linda Blair talked about how they made this metal chess piece that was hooked to two holes in the wall. And there was two guys behind it working her back and forth until the director said cut.
Two grown
and she had no
men
control.
Pulling this 13-year-old girl around like a fucking rag doll.
She had no control over when it was stopping.
That's nuts, man.
And Bruce Campbell bitches about Evil Dead 2. I'm just saying.
Grown-ass man. But yeah, again, the crucifix is brutal. The sound design in that scene, I think, makes it 10 times worse. Because it's literally like a stabbing sound as you kind of get into the room, man. Sounds in this movie are a big deal, I think. Like the shitting, the defecating rats upstairs.
Sound director, the person doing that, bravo as well. Everybody did such a good job with this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely a craftsman's movie on top of the fact that it's really, really fucking creepy 50 years later.
We just got through talking about a crucifix being used in an inappropriate way in Joy's comment. Everybody did a really good job.
Everyone was
little
fantastic.
Little Jesus head is shaped just right to stimulate the clitoris.
I mean, it's hard to.
In the future, I highly recommend using a crucifix.
That's the next line of toys that just waiting to be tapped into. But I had a note here about an actress called, her name was Eileen Dietz. I don't know if you guys found anything about her.
Yeah, that was the body double.
She's 15 years older than Linda Blair. She stood in for her during the crucifix scene and other scenes that were deemed too violent or disturbing.
No. The crucifix scene was her.
Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
She appears on camera as the face of Pazuzu. You know, a few times we get the makeup, the made-up face.
Images, yeah.
That's the actress who stood in for her as well. Linda Blair estimates that Dietz is in 17 seconds of this movie. Dietz claimed to the media that she performed all the possession scenes. Warner's ultimately measured her screen performance at 28.25 seconds, but denied that her contribution was dramatically significant.
Like the close-up throw-up scenes, that's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that actually had to wear all the fucking, like, fiberglass on her fucking face and all that shit.
But keep that in mind and think about how seamless that is. Like, if no one told you that, would you have noticed that? I would not have.
No, not at all. No.
It doesn't come across to me at all. So, yeah, there's a big debate about, like, how much of this is Linda Blair, how much of this, even the physical, because we said there's a physical part of this performance and there's a vocal part of the performance. And every bit of that is augmented by other actors in relation to Linda Blair. So, it's really tough to judge
she
it.
didn't win the, Oscar for it.
But what is that? Think about that and think about, like, an Andy Serkis doing Gollum. Like, how many people, how many creative hands have to make that character what it is? But he is the character, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Is she is the character.
With that character, it's more about, like,
technical.
I don't think the actual the animation has anything to do with that character at all. Being so beloved,
So you don't think the Andy Serkis's performance is what makes that character what it is?
You're talking about his actual, like, them having his body, like, having all those little balls. What do they call that shit when they have all the little balls?
The mocap stuff you're talking about.
The motion capture. Okay. I don't think it's the motion capture that makes people really enjoy that character. It's just outside his, like, facial expressions, his voice, and his performance.
Isn't that what makes the performance, though? I guess is my point here. Isn't Linda Blair what makes this character work?
I think it's a culmination.
If I put green screen on half of my face, does it take away from my performance?
The voice of the Mercedes chick, in my opinion, kind of makes.
It makes a big deal. I agree.
The last 50 minutes of the movie, yeah, it's Linda Blair's body, but it's Mercedes' voice, and the interactions between the priest and Linda Blair. I mean, that's all her voice,
This would be a good time for, if the audience has a take on that, let us know.
But yeah, special effects supervisor Marcel Vercoutre built a latex dummy with help from makeup artist Dick Smith. It was so realistic that Linda Blair felt uncomfortable in its presence.
He even said that it looked so good that he was offended when they called it a dummy.
Oh, that's proud in your fucking work right there. They had given the dummy's face the capability to move and appear to speak, and they added a condom so that its throat would bulge. That's how they did the swelling throat.
They should have added that earlier, brother. I could have avoided a mess.
I mean, condoms and masturbation, there's just a lot of subtext in this movie, man.
It's so innovative for this time period.
Like I'm saying, this is a craftsman's fucking movie. This is like a Home Depot commercial of a movie.
Now at the Home Depot.
Condom throat interjections for 12-year-old dummy dolls.
That is where doers get things done.
You damn right. You could just put, like, was it Josh Lucas? Is that the actor's name?
Yeah.
Put, like, all of his, like, just take one of his commercials, pull out the audio, put it over the crucifix scene, and just let it fucking roll. Doers get more done.
The next day, Miss McNeil meets with Father Karras at the recommendation of his fellow psychiatrist that examined Reagan, and after some convincing, he decides to see the young girl. After some ominous banter between bouts of projectile vomiting and the troubled child's knowledge of his dead mother, The priest departs, feeling both equally disturbed and intrigued. He returns the following day to record evidence of what could be a possible possession, evidence that could lead to the approval of an exorcism by the Catholic Church. Studying his recordings further, what sounds like gibberish at first is discovered to be plain English, spoken in reverse. In the midst of the pained rambling, a name is spoken out of fear, Marin. A telephone call interrupts his study, and Assistant Sharon calls the servant of God back to the McNeil residence unbeknownst to Chris. Upstairs asleep lies Reagan, and scarred on her stomach the words, "Help me," written from within the body itself. So yeah, the way they accomplished that, they had a latex like foam sort of deal modeled after her stomach, and they applied some sort of chemical to it, and it made it raise up the word "help me." All they did was shoot that in reverse, and it looked like it was coming up naturally from her stomach. That shit was wild.
Yeah,
that's such a good effect.
Reverse shots are always cool.
Yeah.
So at this point, Karras has already walked into the room, and it's freezing cold, right? And you can see his breath.
Yes, this is like the night shot. Yeah.
This is when it starts getting there.
So for this refrigerated room at this point, it was cooled with 4 air conditioners, and temperatures would plunge below 30 degrees. On one occasion, the air was so saturated with moisture, it resulted in a thin layer of snow falling onto the set before the crew arrived for filming.
Jesus, dude.
This director's wild.
This movie sounds like torture to be on, you know.
The whole projectile vomiting scene here, too. It was only supposed to hit the actor in the chest. And it actually hit him like entirely in the face.
I heard that was
he
intentional.
He apparently got super pissed off about it.
Yeah, apparently they rehearsed it several times, and every time it was aimed at his chest. And Billy had the idea that it hit him in the face when they were actually shooting it. He was not expecting it. So that's him
it's a
being
genuine reaction
pissed
of
off
like disgust
at his director at that point.
Yeah, so good.
Billy, you motherfucker.
The vomit that Reagan hurls at Karras is thick pea soup, specifically Anderson's brand pea soup. The crew tried Campbell's, but didn't like the effect.
Yeah.
It's too thin.
That Anderson's brand is like famous for this in particular.
Chunky.
Which is insane. This helps you sell pea soup. But yeah, that's something I put together watching this for the 20th time, like I said. Demi never meets Reagan in this entire movie. Isn't that crazy? He never meets the girl.
He meets her for a split second at the end.
I don't. That's debatable.
Well,
he never meets her. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Talk about it. You talking about meets her as in shakes her hand, or what are we talking here?
Like he never has a conversation with this kid. Isn't that crazy? And then him listen, and I think that makes him having to listen to her voice. Like particularly, he's listening to a recording of her like leaving a message for her dad. It's just really fucking sad, man. I don't know if it's just me and the kid thing, but listening to her speak, especially at this point when she's going through all this shit in her like regular happy voice again, it's just heartbreaking.
Father Karras, unsure of what to do, approaches Bishop Michael and explains what he's witnessed. After a meeting with the president of the university, Tom, the bishop approves the request for the exorcism, and the two appoint Father Lancaster Marin to conduct it. Once the weary priest arrives, he wastes no time in beginning the ritual. He and his temporary assistant, Father Karras, gather their tools to drive the evil from its vessel and make their way upstairs to begin the battle with the devil. Inside, armed with the power of Scripture and holy water, they confront the cackling demon in vain, its hold too great, too powerful on the young girl. The room itself begins to crack and come alive as Marin chants passage after passage, culminating in the silhouette of the malicious statue from the Middle Eastern ruins appearing before a howling Reagan, a vision of the entity that has taken her soul hostage. Exhausted, Reagan passes out, and the priests take this chance to rest and compose themselves for the conflict to come. Alright, that little passage I read, or little paragraph I read, sums up a lot of shit happening.
That's a big deal. That's the bulk of what
A lot
people
of shit
talk
happens
about.
here.
Yeah.
So it's mentioned that Father Marin The reason they choose him, he performed an exorcism in Africa 10 to 12 years ago that lasted months and nearly killed him. We see throughout the movie he's feeble. He grows more and more feeble throughout.
Get them sugar pills.
I guess it's aspirin or something. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah,
I think it stated he has a heart issue.
Yeah.
That came from this exorcism in Africa. And the iconic shot of Mirren in front of the fog-covered McNeil house, man. How fucking dope is that? That's
the cover of your Blu-ray forever right there.
Like, you think about iconic shots in horror. You think about Freddy's face being pushed through the latex above Nancy's bed.
The wall, not the latex.
It was a real wall, Joy. It clearly
wasn't
a
real
latex.
Wall.
It's real. It's real drywall.
Like plastic.
It was a dream.
Shit.
It was a dream, dude. It was
you think
latex.
about Mongoloid Jason popping out of the fucking water at the end of Friday 1. You think about Michael in the closet, and this is right up there.
Yeah,
you know?
This was actually his first day of shooting, I believe, when they get this shot, which is fucking nuts. Like, you're setting that bar for yourself. This was Max von Sydow's first day on set. Getting out of the cab, walking into the light.
You think of the Jeepers Creepers guy shoving the bodies down the drain hole, you know?
Yeah.
So there's iconic
I often think about the Jeepers Creepers guy. No one knows his fucking name because I think he got sequels, too.
And then when Mirren comes in the door and he says, I came as fast as I could, but at my age, the little soldier needs a lot more thumping before it starts pumping, if you know what I mean.
That's not true. That did not happen.
Kinda
James
weird
Woods.
for Max von Sydow to say that.
But yeah, Mirren is like King Clutch. Like, you think about this whole fucking movie. You got Demi is like a damn starting pitcher just fucking getting rocked. And they were like, let's call him the fucking closer. This dude
the best part is as soon as he comes in the door,
like fucking Mariano Rivera.
Karras is like, you want me to like debrief you on the situation? He says, no, let's go.
Yeah, I love that.
Let's get it on.
That's my favorite line in the whole fucking movie when he's like, let me tell you about Reagan's personality so far. And he like cuts him. He's like, there was only one. His delivery is just so fucking fantastic. There was only one. This motherfucker knows what he's doing here, you know. This is his calling.
As soon as he witnesses the statue, like, or as soon as he, finds the statue in the beginning of the movie,
yeah,
and he starts having those visions, he knows that it's leading to this. I think he's aware that he ain't coming back from this.
That's my question was, does he know that this is Pazuzu? We don't want to give it a name, but does he know that this is what he's been? Because this dude goes to fucking Iraq, gets his shit straight, sees his enemy, goes back home, just walks around the forest, just fucking waiting for the call, you know? How fucking badass is that, man? This dude is a great character who
should have been lifting weights and shit, getting ready.
No, this dude he's got one fucking thing left to do in his life.
Doing some silver sneakers, just fucking walking around and wearing shit.
It's like the most fucking badass John Wayne big dick shit a priest could do, you know? And I do love the rosary shot, too. It's probably one of my favorite shots in the movie, where he's holding the rosary and he's downstairs and his hand's shaking. Because the rosary's like in focus and the rest of him is out of focus. But it's the fact that it seems like he's afraid or weak, and we know what the hell's about to go on upstairs, man. It's just so good. So much great imagery in this movie.
Boy, he starts hitting him with the fucking the fucking passages. She goes, stick your cock up her ass, you motherfucking worthless cocksucker.
Yeah, this dialogue is fucking...
so...
Is there any movie in the history of cinema that is more Catholic while not trying to be Catholic than The Exorcist?
I guess the thing about it is I can't tell if this is like a commercial for me to go to church this Sunday or if it's telling me, do not do that. It does both at the same time.
There's so much used, and even, I don't know how it was used before The Exorcist, but holy water plays such a big role in this film.
And it's, like you were saying, it's wild to think about like how people look at a Catholic priest now. Like, think about how much that image has changed. But this Max von Sydow's character, he's a fucking superhero in this movie. Like I'm saying, he's fucking Superman in the Fortress of Solitude, just waiting for the call to come put this motherfucker down.
He's got a Batman gadget belt.
Had a note here, too, before we get too far away from her. We mentioned her earlier. Billy originally planned to use Linda Blair's electronically treated voice for the Pazuzu dialogue. But in scenes with the priest, it lacked the power required, so he cast experienced voice actress Mercedes McCambridge. And she did not get a proper credit on this movie for quite a few years. It was a big point of contention before she actually got her name in the credits.
Well, apparently
I'm sure she was real happy about that.
It was rumored that she said she didn't want to be credited.
Yeah, I think she distanced herself from it until she realized how
she
fucking
realized
big
it's a
it
fucking
was.
hit.
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge.
She's like, I'm not getting credit for this. But from what I understand, she would smoke like cigarettes nonstop before recording just to get a voice.
Chain smoker.
To get that voice just fucking raw.
That's where that band got the name of their band from, was this woman.
You're referring to the Chainsmokers?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Little known fact. But there's so much fucking happens right here, man. The levitating bed, the eyes rolling back. The holy water, like, tearing her skin as it hits her. How fucking wild is it? Father Karras is shitting himself.
Yeah, dude, ready for death.
Father Karras, he is in over his head, and he realizes it very, very quickly.
He has nothing to bring to this.
I think anybody would be in over their head that's a priest that hasn't done an exorcism before, because it's pretty wild.
I mean, you're saying Marin's done one before this. This, I guess, if it was months long, it's different. But
yeah, she's gonna do that.
She's gonna say your mother sucks cocks in hell, which is probably the most fantastic dialogue you're ever gonna hear come out of a 12-year-old's mouth.
Well, he gives him like a heads up. He tells him, hey, you know, this entity is gonna
liar, a
you
deceiver.
know, he's gonna say things you're not to engage. You know, you're not to engage in conversation. You're here to save this girl, not give in to the lies of the demon.
Apparently on set, when she says that famous line, Karras had to take a break because he just, like, how do you act as a 12-year-old tells you that? It's like, I need 5.
All right, cut. He called cut on that one. Give me 5 minutes to take that.
Dude, what about when, like, they hit her ass with a Jesus uppercut, and then she fucking just starts, like, oozing pea soup out of her mouth.
Oh, when she whips the head to the side, yeah.
Fuck, that was nasty.
That was gross. Also, a bit of a note here, something they removed from the adaptation, coming from the book to the movie. In the book, she has constant diarrhea, which gives her that foul odor that they're kind of reacting to in the movie, but you don't actually see it. So.
Damn, dog, I might be possessed too then.
Top all this shit off. She's just constantly shitting in that bed. You add that layer of funk in there, too. It just shows you how much more badass Marion is, because he don't react to a fucking bit of it.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karras, you filthy slime. I do want to do one that is probably the most powerful passage.
They're all pretty fucking potent, man.
Do not despise my command because you know me to be a sinner. It is God himself who commands you. The majestic Christ who commands you. God the Father who commands you. God the Son who commands you. God the Holy Spirit commands you. The mystery of the cross commands you. The blood of the martyrs commands you. This shit is like in one sequence. Like, this is filmed like with no cuts or anything. Karras is, we've already talked about how he ain't got a fucking clue. But it really does, like, show how this guy is a veteran. He's a vet, you know?
Yeah, he's like alone in that room when he's giving that dialogue, because it's how much faith this guy has in this process.
Karras just shook.
He has no fucking faith. Like, she calls him a faithless slime.
Oh yeah, he's a faithless worm at this point.
The whole time she's like, you don't believe this shit. What the fuck are you doing here?
Then the head going 360, bro.
Yeah.
She did a 180 last time. Now she's unlocked her full fucking power, baby.
Fucking Apparently, the screenwriter Blatty had a big issue with that one because he felt it defied kind of his whole idea of how all this could be rooted in some kind of bit of science. Maybe it could be explained away, kind of make people question their own beliefs. But I think Billy's idea was
scenes in the movie, though.
Yeah,
you know?
Billy was obviously usually right about the decisions he was making there. So
they actually added a cool little effect on the offhand, like, joking suggestion of one of the crew members. The dummy's head actually has, like, fog breath.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
where the fuck is this dummy at right now?
But yeah, he just off. He said, "Yeah, it'd be pretty cool if the dummy had fog breath." And then they immediately, the director put them right to work on getting that, making that possible.
Thanks, Brad, for putting us fucking.
Oh yeah, he was about to go home and shit.
I was gonna see my wife this month.
Hook up with some Georgetown sorority chick. Now we gotta work overtime.
First half of the exorcism is the levitation. How that wraps up.
Right when she passes out and they head downstairs.
How fucking awesome is the levitation scene, man? Even that little sequence into itself is fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
The white eyes, her floating up in the air.
And to the point of the bed, the special effects director had created 3 separate beds that obviously did 3 separate things. So just the amount of practical effects that went into this is I need a whole documentary on that by itself.
Yeah, it's insane.
What about the holy water hitting the leg like a lash?
Yeah, and it whips like an invisible.
Fuck, it's such a cool effect, man. Holy shit.
Yeah. Apparently there was a lot of, like, they would do things, like you're talking about this practical shit. And they would break something or they would break down part of the set, and Billy would be like, I want to reshoot this like this. So they were rebuilding shit constantly, too. So it's definitely like a plagued production. And I think once they had finally, like, torn down, because the way the house was made, it wasn't big enough. So they had, like, built an extension on the house to shoot a lot of things. And they had finally torn it down. And then Freakin' wanted to do a few more reshoots. And they were like, nah, you got what you got. That's it. We're so fucking done with this movie. I'm not building another thing.
Outside of the tortured girl's bedroom, Father Mirren tends to his nerves, while Karras checks on their young charge. The demon continues to goad the junior priest about his mother, forcing him to confront the foul beast, unhinged and without poise. His senior orders him from the room and continues the exorcism alone. Downstairs, Damien gathers himself, assuring the doubtful Chris of her daughter's salvation. Filled with a renewed sense of faith and purpose, he charges upstairs just as Lieutenant Kinderman arrives at the home, only to find Mirren lifeless, sprawled across the girl's bed, the green-eyed creature giggling playfully as it watches Karras pound on the old man's chest. Losing all control, Karras drags the girl from the bed, beating her, begging the demon to take control of him instead. His request is granted. His eyes glow green, a sickly, putrid green. As it takes hold, Karras stumbles forward, regaining control of his body, just as the spirit lunges for Reagan, heaving himself from the bedroom window and down the very same stairs that claimed Burke Denning's life, tumbling down, lying broken at its bottom. Both the policeman and Chris rush to Reagan's side, now free of the demon's hold. Father Dyer, aware of the exorcism, hastens to his friend's side as he passes, taking his final confession and reading him his last rites. Days later, the McNeil family depart Georgetown, with Reagan having no recollection of what happened to her. So ends 1973's The Exorcist. Now, I know the version you guys watched.
Oh, yes.
If it's the extended one, it's got that corny-ass shit at the end of it, with Kinderman talking to...
About gonna catch a movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I liked this. We didn't talk about... Did we really even talk about the spider walking scene?
No, that's... that was before the crucifix scene, right?
Yeah, it happened a long time ago. They cut that from the original, like, theatrical cut, because back then you didn't have the technology to hide the wires, to hide the harness that was needed to make that happen.
I read something like that, and I also read that William Friedkin felt like it came too early in the movie. It didn't serve the purpose that the crucifix scene does.
That gives you the exact same impression, because it's some supernatural shit, you know?
Yeah, and it's, like, confusing. Like, Chris is not reacting to it properly as a character after that.
Yeah. It's a cool fucking scene, don't get me wrong.
It's a great fucking stunt. You could even append it to the crucifix scene and it'll be fine, you know? Like, all that happens and then she spider walks. That would be fine. But having them two distinct events is kind of confusing.
But yeah, our boy, Father Mirren, he gets the axe.
Yeah, it's a great fucking ending. All this build up, all this great shit we've seen up to this point, and the ending is fantastic as well. For me, there's the look on Reagan's face. When Demi goes back in the room and Marin is, like, gone. He's collapsed. We don't really know how he died. I guess the assumption is his heart gave out.
Attack. Yeah. It's alluded to that he has heart issues.
Yeah.
Because of the pillbox he has.
Right. and the fact that Demi abandoned him because he couldn't hold his shit together, keep his own faith, kind of sentenced him to death in a way. And I think Demi kind of feels that when he goes back in, and that's why he reacts the way he does.
That's his whole reason of doing that, is he redeeming himself.
Right. It's the sacrificial. He becomes like Jesus in that point. He sacrifices himself because at the end of the day, I think Friedkin said he saw this as a love story about a priest who sacrifices himself for a girl he's never even met. That's kind of where I put together that he never met Reagan the whole time.
I guess he also sees the relationship or doesn't really see the relationship, but he can tell from talking to Chris that the relationship she had with her daughter is something worth sacrificing himself for. And he probably sees himself and his mother, their relationship, like it redeems their relationship as well by him doing this.
Maris's necklace also has, or Karis's necklace, sorry, also has power too, right? Because he gives it to her, and that's how he like switches with the demon.
He's wearing it the whole time.
But then he gives it to Reagan?
No. Reagan, it tears it from his neck.
I interpreted it as that when she rips it off, the demon like goes into Karis, but I could have.
I think the demon just sees the chance to switch to like a more fitting body, because at the end of the day, the demon's not out to destroy Reagan. The demon is out to destroy everybody else's faith by showing what it can do to her.
Yeah, it's fighting against God is the point.
So if it transitions itself into the body of a priest, I mean,
oh yeah, he can lead a fucking mass then.
Yeah, if I can take control of a priest, then I can affect a lot more people. In that moment, it showed that he regains his faith just long enough to to get rid of the demon.
To that point, is Midnight Mass a sequel to The Exorcist?
I could definitely see like gathering some ideas from this. Great fucking series. Probably worth a rewatch. I usually don't rewatch series, but that one probably deserves it. But there's when Damien goes back into the room, and Marin is down and Reagan's on the bed. For a minute, she has like this look on her face, like her mouth is hanging open, and she's like almost concerned looking at Marin. And for me, that was always like the most terrifying shot of possessed Reagan. I don't know why. It's because it's the most human she ever appears when she's in like her full demonic state. And then she starts to giggle, and it just, I don't know, it stabs well.
It was what got me.
So creepy, man. Because she's a little girl for a minute, and then she's back to psycho, possessed, helpless person.
I got another theory about why the demon left the body of Reagan. We've established at this point that Karis is a really good boxer, like an award-winning boxer. So when he's beating the shit out of her on the ground, it probably legit hurts like a motherfucker.
But this little girl's got no fucking...
I'm tired of getting my ass whooped. I gotta get at this motherfucker.
He needs that stamina.
My head's about to get spun around again, but not by my choice. Let me go ahead and get in this guy.
And the stair stunt is great. It's a great thing to watch.
They actually
they threw a motherfucker down those stairs
twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The director forced him to do it again.
They said the way that you shoot something like this is like less than an inch of rubber on each stair. But other than that, it's just a motherfucker falling down these stairs.
This is the scene where Father Dyer got punched in the face, like in real life. Yeah. Like you talked about it. You talked about earlier how he gets the most out of his actors by, going in hard. This is the scene where he tried to get a little bit more out of Father Dyer.
Apparently, Karis asked the stunt double how he pulled that off, and the stunt double said that you just have to not think about it and just let your body go. That's what he said. And
don't tense up, I guess.
Yeah, he's just like you were like light as a feather. You just falling down steps.
Well, they say like if you tense up, and let's say you're in a boxing match or something or a fight, and you tense up and you tense your jaw, that's how you get your jaw broken. You ain't letting it free. So I can see like not breaking every bone in your body by going kind of ragdoll.
But again, kind of going back to what I was talking about with the symbolism of the stairs in the movie, it's Demi's kind of descending down, taking the demon back to hell. Just so much symbolism, so much great fucking imagery in this movie. All right, boys. Hopefully we did it a bit of justice. I doubt there's much we can contribute to the conversation about the GOAT. But without further ado, what kind of memorabilia are we looking at taking home from 1973?
I really liked and want Father Maris's necklace because I believe that it held some type of power. It just looked really cool. So
any good yard needs a nice centerpiece. So I want that demon Pazuzu statue. Put it right in the middle of the garden, surrounded by all the beautiful flowers that one man could plant. So I think that'd be cool.
Penis out.
The snake penis just hanging under the flowers.
That's the exact same thing I want as well.
The penis or the whole statue?
No, the Pazuzu. I've been actually looking online to see if I could find a big Pazuzu statue. None of them look as good as the one from the movie.
Oh hell no, it's never gonna happen.
I'm still on the hunt.
Oh, they still make them though. I mean, they still make replicas.
Well, they make like foam replicas.
Okay.
I want one made out of fucking wood at least.
I heard on a pod recently, director Alex Ross Perry, he's got one of those, like, he has a Pazuzu statue, and he was talking about how, like, the head went missing a few months ago, and he decided just to leave it off. All right, boys, grade book's out. This may be a foregone conclusion, but it's something we got to do. Let's give our letter grades to Mr. William Friedkin. Rest in peace.
It's such a scary proposition talking about and reviewing The Exorcist. It's intimidating just the thought of trying to add your 2 cents about a movie so revered out of fear of not really adding anything to the conversation. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Honestly, what can you say about an all-time classic that hasn't been said time and time again? 1973's The Exorcist is listed in countless movie fans' top 10 horror lists and even top 10 films of all time. It's hard to put in perspective just how much of an impact this movie had on modern horror and modern cinema in general. It shocked, horrified, and scarred audiences of the time and continues to do so to this day. Its story magnificent, the acting impeccable. Its score spine-tingling, the cinematography beautiful. It accomplishes something that not many movies made since have been able to do. It's a film that every single person who sees it will remember it, regardless of whether they enjoyed it or not. It digs its claws in and leaves its mark on your mind and for some people their soul. The Exorcist set the bar for possession movies and nothing has come close to surpassing it since. And this is coming from someone who doesn't even like the subgenre, so it's got to be the shit. Seriously, though, it's truly and undoubtedly a horror masterpiece and a valuable piece of cinematic history. 1973's The Exorcist grades out with an A.
1973's Exorcist is one of the holy grails of horror cinema. I am not blind to that. I would agree with that. However, it does, as I've stated, have a couple slow spots if I'm really nitpicking, but there's no need to here. From the acting to the special effects to the director, I mean, it is just impeccable from top to bottom. And before I sit here and talk this movie to death, if you haven't seen it somehow, please go watch it. Or if you've already seen it, it's worth a rewatch no matter if it's your 5th or 50th time. And with that, I give it an A.
Surprise here, The Exorcist is a masterclass in horror and in cinema. Every frame contributes to its eerie atmosphere, keeping you on edge without overstaying its welcome. The film interlaces religious elements with science and psychology, prompting you to question your own convictions. The climactic exorcism is a culmination of tension and a powerful leap of faith, delivers an epic finale. The Exorcist transcends the genre. It's a thought-provoking exploration of belief in human resilience that solidifies its place as a cinematic classic. For me, this movie gets an A+, that it so rightly deserves for Mr. Billy Friedkin. Rest in peace, my guy. All right, so let's recap these audience fan score guesses from Rotten Tomatoes. For those who are new to the show and need a refresher, we'll take a stab at the audience score here to determine who chooses our next flick. Since this was Joy's choice, he was not allowed to guess. So between me and Mr. Hootie, Mr. Ryan Hootie, the high man went with the 97. Your boy Chris chose his birth year, went with the 88. What could go wrong? The actual audience score is an 87. Ding, ding, motherfucker.
My batting average is embarrassing.
You faithless slime. I'm going to start calling people that on a regular basis. Yeah, I'm going to let you borrow my bat sometime, Hootie. But until then, you were in my clutches. You'll watch what I say, when I say, how I say.
What elevated thing we're going to watch, Joey?
You know, it's funny. I had two of my three that were debating were the elevated genre. But because we're coming off The Exorcist, I figured we probably needed to change of pace. Thanks to Joy, I'm going to have to go lowbrow for you on this one. So we got Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of weeks. Saw a new trailer called Thanksgiving
Redux.
Saw the Thanksgiving
watch
trailer.
Thanksgiving 3 again.
We're going to do a redo. But no. The Thanksgiving trailer came out. Eli Roth joint coming out around Thanksgiving. So kind of got me more interested in the director that I have definitely shunned in the past. So I think we're going to close one of my blind spots by touching on Mr. Eli Roth's Green Inferno.
Oh, fuck. That fucking movie's so good.
From 2013.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I didn't realize it was that old at this point. That's 10 years ago.
It's old.
I've heard this is pretty gruesome in the body mutilation category.
It's awful. It's his homage to Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh boy, all right.
That's like his favorite. That's like his favorite horror movie.
Not Christopher's type of movie. We'll go ahead and say that up front. So.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, we're going to do this a little bit differently this time as opposed to playing back the audio from our YouTube trailer reaction here. We're going to post the trailer on YouTube along with our audio of just how we react to the trailer in real time. So if you want to hear that, check out the YouTube channel. Between you two cats and kittens, since I choose this thingy, I don't have to bother trying to guess the score. So between you two boys, have your stabs at it.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what we call throwing. I'm pretty sure what it's going to be. It should be like right around a 40, but I'm going to say like a 65, just to give Hootie a chance.
I gave Hootie the answer, and now
I'm not like a fucking special needs guy over here.
Well, no, I'd rather hear what your next movie is.
Well, if you're going to throw me a softball pitch, then I'm going to smack the fuck out of it. I'm going to say 40.
Watch that shit be like a 65 or something like that.
Again, to reiterate the rules, anyone not familiar with either one of these fuckers.
If it's a 40, I'd be fucking surprised, to be honest with you.
If either one of us within 5 points, they get to choose the next one. Otherwise, we're going to spin the random wheel. Thank you for listening. Check out our website, horriblefilmschool.com. You'll find links to all the podcast platforms, our Instagram, our merch store. Buy something. Give us a shout out. We appreciate the love and support. Give us a follow, leave a review, send us some highly sanitized crucifixes. I'm going to say goodbye. Offer my support to women raising true hellions, all on their own.
As always, if you're hearing our voices, tell at least one person you know, spread that love, spread that campaign. And to Chris's point, after listening to this show and watching The Exorcist, just go ahead and make sure that we really clean those crucifixes. And with that, I'm out.
Thanks for the likes, the subs, the listens, the follows, the downloads. We really appreciate you guys and gals' support, as well as your time and attention. Be sure to join us next time when we take a trip south of the equator in 2013's Green Inferno. Class dismissed.